Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic Hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of The Last of Us. It was called Through the Valley. And as it starts, Abby is dreaming she's walking through the Firefly facility where her father was killed by Joel. And she sees a vision of herself that tries to warn her not to go into the room where he's lying dead because his brains are all over the place, but she doesn't listen. She then wakes up and begins to strategize with her fellow Fireflies about how to get into the city where Joel is from their camp in a lodge some distance away. And in the discussions, they mention how they aren't out to hurt anyone but Joel, which they realize is going to be very difficult given all of the safeguards that the city has in place. Abby then leaves to take watch outside, and the remainder of her group seem to realize that they have to convince her to give up this mission to get Joel, because if not, the only ones that are going to get hurt in the attempt are them. Over in the city, Ellie wakes up and wants to go on patrol with Joel, but he's already gone out because he wanted to let Ellie sleep. Seth, the man who gave Ellie and Dinah shit for their kiss the night before, is made to apologize to Ellie, but she barely acknowledges it. Then she goes on patrol with Dinah's ex, Jesse. Abby sees a patrol from the city approaching in the distance. A storm comes in somewhat unexpectedly, and Ellie and Jesse have to hold up out in the wilderness, and the location where they do this is a marijuana grow house that Jesse knew about but didn't tell anyone about, having learned of it at some previous point. Abby decides to get a closer look at the patrol that she saw, which unbeknownst to her consists of Joel and Dinah. And she ends up sliding quite a ways down the side of a mountain, losing her weapon and landing in a field of frozen solid infected bodies, from underneath which very much alive infected begin to emerge in super huge numbers before giving chase. Abby manages to reach a building and scramble up a ladder attached to a wall, which enables her to make it over the wall into a fenced-in compound, but the infected still try to get her and end up pinning her between a chain link fence and a wall before breaking through the fence and attacking her, at which point she is rescued by Joel. The two of them then have to continue fleeing from the infected alongside Dinah, and they end up deciding to go to the lodge where the Fireflies are holed up. When Ellie and Jesse are informed that the base can't reach Joel, they go out looking for them. Joel, Ina, and Abby are riding for their lives away from a gigantic horde of infected, which the city soon becomes aware of as it's heading right for them, and they set off an alarm and go into lockdown mode. From atop a guard fence, survivors drop a bunch of barrels full of gasoline onto the ground where the horde is arriving, slamming themselves into the fence. They then shoot the gasoline barrels, causing gasoline to go everywhere. After which they drop torches onto the gasoline, which starts to burn the horde and then, of course, explode the barrels, blowing infected everywhere. After which survivors start taking shots at the infected with rifles. Seeing the fires burning back in the city from atop the mountain, Joel wants to go to the city so that he can help, but he's convinced to keep going to the lodge. Among the horde, a giant infected emerges and manages to breach the wooden fence on one side of the city. So another group of survivors, led by Joel's brother Tommy, readies flamethrowers on the ground as other survivors get ready to fire from rooftops. Two of the flamethrower-wielding survivors turn and run before the horde gets to the location, and the third one gets taken down by an infected, leaving only Tommy to try and kill some with his flamethrower, which he quickly has to stop doing in order to try to lure the big giant one away from the population, which he successfully does before trying to kill it with his flamethrower, which he does manage to do just after he runs out of fuel. Tommy's wife then goes and lets out a whole bunch of attack dogs to go after the infected. Joel, Abby, and Dinah arrive at the lodge, at which point Dinah is incapacitated by Abby, and Joel is held at gunpoint. Abby then says that if Joel tells the truth, they'll let Dinah live, before asking him where the last place he saw any Fireflies was, and he admits that the last place he saw them was in Salt Lake City, before Abby shoots him in the leg and discloses to him that he killed her dad, with tears in her eyes, and that she's going to kill him. She then grabs a metal golf club and whacks him with it, starting where his gunshot wound is. On the mountain, Ellie sees that the city is on fire but proceeds toward the lodge that she's now come across, while Abby switches to beating Joel with her fists. Ellie infiltrates the lodge and comes across the unfolding scene, at which point she's grabbed and held down by Abby's people, as she begs Abby not to kill Joel, but Abby stabs him in the neck with a broken golf club, killing him, prompting Ellie to swear to kill them all before they leave, and Ellie crawls to Joel. Back in the city, fires are being put out and the remaining survivors go through the streets, killing any surviving infected lying on the ground. Jesse arrives at the lodge, rescuing Ellie and Dinah, and retrieving Joel's body, which is wrapped in a shroud and dragged behind Jesse's horse as the trio ride back to the city. And that's where the episode ended. So this episode was just incredible. I've never seen anything like it. And by that, I mean the scenes where the infected horde is attacking the city. These infected can run at like top human speed. They're not like, your usual shambling zombies like you might see on The Walking Dead, for example. They are a rabid, crazed, frenzied, insane type of enemy that wants so badly to eat people that they just slam into fences. They don't, it's mindless. They're running so hard and so fast and trying to get to the people on the other side of the fence that they just slam into it at top speed. And it's just scary as hell, the way they run and the way they behave. And seeing so many of them was just absolutely terrifying. And I said while watching the episode, like out loud multiple times, things like Jesus fucking Christ when certain things would happen, or holy fucking shit when certain things would happen. It was just that insane. And watching Abby try to get away from the horde, and then Joel and her try to get away from the horde with Dina on the horses. It was all just so insane to watch. And I loved every second of it. Seeing the city littered with bodies in the aftermath was also nuts, just mind blowing. And, then there was the scene where Abby starts going in at Joel and talking to him about what he did. And the acting in that scene was just fantastic on behalf of the actress and on behalf of Pedro Pascal as Joel, who's clearly in fear for his life. And then the scene where she actually starts beating or is actually beating him at one point with her bare fists was just insane and intense and grueling to watch. And then, Ellie comes in and she has to watch like the final blow take place right in front of her, and she's freaking out. It's just like the game. She freaked out, but it was just insane, and just fantastic television. That's just all there is to it. And I thought it was good that they showed how the Fireflies are conflicted. They want to get Joel, they want to help Abby get Joel, but they don't want to hurt anyone else. And at a couple of different points, they have to sort of stop Abby from going beyond that because she for example, tells Joel, if you tell the truth, we won't kill Dina, after they had just told him that they're not going to kill her, they're just going to put her to sleep, which is what they do. And when she says, tell the truth and we'll let her live, they say, Abby. And she kind of reacts angrily to that because she doesn't care. She just wants what she wants. And she's going to say and do whatever she has to get it. So it was all just very intense. And, that's perfect because this part of the game was intense. The only difference is in the game, I wasn't expecting it when it happened. And in this, I knew it was coming, but it was still just nuts and, just great TV, which doesn't surprise me because I thought that, the first season was excellent. So this season is just following in that vein. And I'm looking forward to the rest of it. But that's really all there is to say, other than if you haven't seen this episode, if you haven't been watching this show, you've got to see this episode just to watch the sequences that involve the horde of infected, because it's nuts. It's nuts, and you owe it to yourself to see it because it's crazy. But that's really it. So I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.